When Sarah first spotted the German Shepherd mix wandering through her neighborhood, she knew she had to help. The dog looked lost, hungry, and had that cautious demeanor of an animal that had been surviving on the streets. Without hesitation, Sarah approached slowly, offering her hand for the dog to sniff. Despite his intimidating size, the dog seemed gentle. His eyes held a sadness that tugged at Sarah's heart. She decided right then and there to take him home, naming him Max. For the first week, Max seemed like the perfect rescue success story. He devoured his meals as if he hadn't eaten in days, found a cozy corner in Sarah's living room, and slept peacefully through the night. Max showed his gratitude through gentle nudges and seemed to understand that Sarah had saved his life. He followed her around the house, staying close, but never demanding too much attention. Sarah felt proud of her decision to rescue him. Everything was going exactly as she had hoped. But then something changed. Sarah first noticed Max paying unusual attention to her face. At first, she dismissed it as normal behavior. Dogs explore the world through their sense of smell, after all. She assumed Max was simply getting familiar with her scent. However, Max's interest became increasingly focused on one specific area: her nose. What started as casual sniffing evolved into an obsession. Max would position himself directly in front of Sarah and take deep, deliberate breaths near her face, as if searching for something specific. The nighttime incidents were the most disturbing. Sarah would wake in the darkness to find Max standing over her bed, his cold, wet nose pressed against her face. He would gently paw at her nose, sniffing intensely until she jolted awake. When Sarah tried to gently push him away, Max would emit a low, throaty growl that sent chills down her spine. These midnight encounters became a nightly ritual. Max would wake Sarah multiple times each night, sometimes 4 or 5 times. Each incident followed the same pattern: pawing, sniffing, and that intense focus on her nose. Sleep became elusive. The peaceful nights Sarah had enjoyed during Max's first week were now just a memory. During the day, Max would interrupt her meals, her work, even conversations with visiting friends. The moment he sensed an opportunity, he would approach Sarah and begin his obsessive sniffing routine. Sarah couldn't understand what had caused this dramatic change in Max's behavior. Sarah's family and friends grew increasingly concerned about Max's bizarre behavior. When her sister visited and witnessed Max's obsession firsthand, she was shocked. Max completely ignored Sarah's commands, focusing solely on getting closer to her face. "This isn't normal dog behavior," her sister warned. "Maybe he's traumatized from his time on the streets. This could be some kind of psychological stress response." Sarah wanted to believe this explanation. She refused to consider that the problem might be something more serious. Sarah's mother was even more direct. "His growling when you try to stop him is concerning," she said. "This could become dangerous. You should take him to a shelter before things get worse." But Sarah felt a deep responsibility to Max. She had saved him from the streets, and she wasn't ready to give up on him. She believed that with time and proper care, she could help him overcome whatever was causing this strange behavior. Sarah scheduled an appointment with Dr. Rodriguez, a renowned veterinarian in her area. She explained Max's behavior in detail, and Dr. Rodriguez agreed to examine him thoroughly. On the day of the appointment, Max appeared unusually calm during the car ride to the clinic. Sarah hoped this might be a sign that his behavior was improving. In the examination room, Dr. Rodriguez conducted a comprehensive physical exam. Max's temperature was normal, his reflexes were appropriate, and his overall physical condition was excellent. There were no signs of illness or injury that could explain his behavior. But the moment Dr. Rodriguez approached Sarah to discuss his findings, Max's demeanor changed completely. The dog immediately resumed his obsessive behavior, straining against his leash to get closer to Sarah's face, sniffing frantically at her nose. Dr. Rodriguez observed this with growing confusion. Max showed no aggression toward anyone else in the clinic. He responded well to basic commands and appeared to be in perfect health. His obsession seemed directed solely at Sarah. This could be anxiety related to his past experiences, Dr. Rodriguez theorized. Certain scents or situations might trigger memories from his time on the streets. He prescribed mild anti-anxiety medication and recommended working with a professional dog trainer. Sarah left the clinic feeling optimistic. She hired a certified dog trainer and began the prescribed medication regimen. They worked with Max using behavior modification techniques, teaching him alternative behaviors to redirect his compulsive sniffing. despite their best efforts, Max remained obsessed with Sarah's nose. The anti-anxiety medication had no effect on his behavior. The midnight incidents became even more frequent, and Sarah found herself sleeping only a few hours each night. Ugh, the chronic sleep deprivation began taking its toll. Sarah felt tired throughout the day, her patience wore thin, and she became irritable with friends and family who couldn't understand why she wouldn't give up on the problem dog. During this stressful period, Sarah began experiencing her own health issues. She developed occasional headaches, which she attributed to lack of sleep. Her nose felt constantly congested, but she dismissed these symptoms as minor compared to Max's behavioral problems. The pressure from her family intensified. Her sister visited regularly and could see that Sarah's condition was deteriorating, while Max's obsession grew stronger. One evening, she witnessed Max waking Sarah 3 times within 2 hours, each time desperately trying to sniff her nose. 2 months later, Sarah's headaches became more frequent and severe. Her nasal congestion worsened, but she continued to blame everything on the stress of dealing with Max's behavior. She postponed seeing a doctor, convinced her symptoms would improve once Max's issues were resolved. Finally, Sarah's sister took matters into her own hands. She made an appointment with Dr. Martinez and insisted that Sarah see a physician for her own health problems. Sarah reluctantly agreed, hoping the doctor would confirm that her symptoms were simply stress-related and would resolve on their own. During the initial examination, Dr. Martinez noticed something concerning. Sarah's nasal passages showed signs of inflammation that seemed more serious than common congestion. He immediately recommended more comprehensive testing. The MRI scan changed everything. Dr. Martinez carefully explained the results. The scan revealed a rare but malignant tumor growing undetected in Sarah's sinuses. The cancer had been developing silently, without obvious symptoms that would typically prompt medical attention. Sarah was stunned by the diagnosis, but then a remarkable realization hit her. Max had been trying to save her life. Dogs possess an extraordinary sense of smell, up to 100,000 times more sensitive than humans. Medical research has documented cases where specially trained dogs can detect certain types of cancer by identifying specific chemical compounds released by malignant cells. Max hadn't been exhibiting problematic behavior at all. His obsessive focus on Sarah's nose was his way of alerting her to the dangerous growth in her nasal cavity. Every midnight wake-up call, every interrupted meal, every moment of parent obsession had been Max desperately trying to communicate a life-threatening discovery. Thanks to Max's persistent warnings, the tumor was detected early enough for successful treatment. The stray dog Sarah had rescued from the streets had repaid her kindness in the most incredible way possible. This remarkable story raises an important question. When our pets exhibit unusual behavior, should we trust their instincts or dismiss it as a behavioral problem? Sometimes, what appears to be problematic behavior might actually be our animals trying to tell us something crucial about our health and safety. Max's story reminds us that the bond between humans and animals can be deeper and more meaningful than we ever imagine. The dog Sarah saved ultimately became her savior in return. The next time your pet starts acting strangely around you, it might be worth paying closer attention. They might be trying to tell you something that could save your life. What would you do if your pet suddenly started behaving unusually around you? Would you trust their instincts, or would you assume it's just a behavioral issue? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.